Hey everybody, I just woke up and I was looking through the comments on the video I posted right before I went to bed about why there's no reason to say the word hentai. And a lot of people responded to that with, well, there's no reason to say anime either. There's no reason to use any of these goofy terms. And I completely agree. I don't think there's any good reason to use the word anime, and in fact, I think the word anime is gradually going to become so diluted. Is that a word? So it's going to become so diluted. That's the word I'm looking for. It's going to become so diluted in the next couple of years that it'll eventually become meaningless. Because we're already at a point where anime is coming to encapsulate more than Japanese cartoons, even in the West. There's lots of people who refer to anime-inspired stuff like Avatar or Legend of Korra as anime, and there's been lots of debate about that, where like if you go on r/anime or if you go on my anime list, they won't list those shows. However, what they will list now is Korean and Chinese cartoons that just look like anime. So the distinction that it's all Japanese is already falling apart, because now we've got anime people talking about shows like Cheating Craft or something that's completely Chinese, but now it's anime. So this is, like, if it's a slippery slope we're already on, essentially. Like, we're already going down the road of stuff that's not from Japan is now anime. It just means, I guess, East Asian cartoons now, even though I don't see why, if we're calling Chinese and Korean stuff anime, why aren't we just calling anything that looks kind of like anime, Even though anime should not be considered an art style, because in Japan, like, Japanese cartoons can be all kinds of stuff, and anime fans engage all of it. I mean, at some point, anime is just going to become stuff that anime fans like. Like anything that the anime community is willing to accept is just what is anime. And, eventually that might mean accepting stuff that's out in English. I mean, with these Chinese and Korean shows, usually the reason they make it onto my anime list is that they are getting like simultaneous Japanese dubs. Like, we are watching these shows in Japanese as opposed to in Chinese. So like, but it's not even unreasonable to think that like there'd be American cartoons getting the same treatment. Like, I mean, plenty of them get dubbed into Japanese, and as soon as a show comes out that's English made and has both a Japanese and English dub simultaneously, like it gets a release in Japan along with the English one, I think that's going to be the moment when we have to say, all right, well, this is just anime now, because you can just watch it as though it's anime, the same way that you could do with a show like Cheating Craft. So yeah, I think the term anime is, I mean, it's eventually going to become meaningless, and it already is becoming, like, it's already broadening out to not just mean Japanese cartoons. So yeah, eventually, if you really just want to talk about Japanese cartoons, you will probably have to refer to the phrase Japanese cartoons, which is how I describe what I talk about anyways to anyone who's not an anime fan. Like, whenever someone asks me what I do out on the streets, I tell them I make videos about Japanese cartoons, and sometimes they go, oh, okay, and then half the time they go, oh, you mean anime? And I go, yes, anime, of course. I'm glad that you are indoctrinated. You know what you're talking about. But yeah, then there's like terms like yuri and yaoi, and it's like, yeah, we should just call it lesbian and gay. There's no reason to use these other terms other than to distinguish that it's anime. And now, granted, I'm not saying everyone should stop using these terms. I think that's the misunderstanding that came out of my last video. I'm not saying don't say hentai. I'm saying there's no reason to say hentai. This is more of a thought experiment than a, like, complaint about the fact that people are saying the word. I mean, obviously, hentai is a really helpful search term, as a few very hilarious comments pointed out on the previous video. Like, yeah, we all kind of know what it means, except for the people who don't, or the people who are going to be annoyed by it. And I'm just saying that you can get away with not saying hentai. You can get away with just saying anime porn, and everyone knows what you mean. I'm not saying no one should say hentai, because obviously it's a quick way to communicate your point, and most people will understand you. But everyone will understand you if you say anime porn. That's the distinction I'm making here. It's between yeah, basically everyone gets it, and literally everyone gets it. In the same way that if you say anime to a layman on the street, they might think Legend of Korra counts, but if you say Japanese cartoons, they might not think that, although they might think that show's Japanese anyways, who knows? So yeah, that's the point I'm making, is that there's not a good reason to say it, but not that it shouldn't exist necessarily.